Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Khorasan, the Caliph and the Corruptor, a fresh look at Islamic eschatology. So, as most Muslimin would know, the Prophet, peace be upon him, he encouraged us to read Surah Al-Kahf on Fridays, on Jummah. And in the story about where the two seas meet, where Musa alayhi salam and his assistant, often seen to be Yusha alayhi salam, Joshua, they meet with one of the walis, the friends of Allah, Allah's servant. And many people have thought that that was Khidr alayhi salam, the verdant one, the green one. And in the Islamic world, he has many associations. Many of the Sufis have equated him with cannabis, with the herb, the green herb. But something else that's interesting, and they've depicted him in a number of ways in poetry, in prose. But one thing that's fascinating to me about Khidr alayhi salam, and a possible connection, is that I was talking to someone from Sudan recently, and they told me that that if people have very dark skin, what we might term luminous black, you know, like very darkly complected, that they would be called green, like green skinned. And I thought this was fascinating because this is like Nubia, this is along the River Nile, and Nubia has long historic connections to Egypt, and many people have associated the place where the two seas meet is down by Sharm el-Sheikh, by Dahab in the Sinai Peninsula. There have been other speculated areas as well. But what I find interesting is that the verdant one, if luminous black skin, very dark skin, is associated with greenness, with verdancy, that we might say that there is one conceptualization of Khidr alayhi salam being associated with dark skin. And one final connection I want to make is that in the Quran, depending on the translation you read, when we read about Adam alayhi salam, the father of all of humanity, he is made of black loam clay, of black or dark river clay. So he's very, very darkly complected, stating that the original humans were dark-skinned and that all other humans come out of that. So that's interesting that Khidr may be associated with the original humans, with the original human complexion, with the dark-complected, highly melanated skin. So that's just an interesting thing to consider, that we all originated out of deeply, highly complected, highly melanated humans. And that this very wise wali may perhaps be associated with the earliest humans and the original humans. And whether it's actually in a literal sense, or perhaps he's spiritually an original human, and that he's connected to his original melanated self as a human on a spiritual level. So it's something to consider. This is something that I need to think through a little bit more thoroughly. If you know anything regarding these issues of green-skinnedness, you know, which some people have also said that there's also a connection to Osiris because he was considered green-skinned. And so that's another way of saying perhaps Osiris was a highly melanated, darkly complected human that became deified in the same way that Jesus became deified later, Isa alayhi salam, you know, who was a prophet, or who is a prophet, peace be upon him. And it's just interesting when we think about skin complexion and originality and authenticity as humans, and the depth and the breadth of our human tradition, going back to our most ancient of ancestors. So something to consider, something to think about. And how does it relate to Islamic eschatology? Not only through Surah 18, but also through the sense of what do we do to come into our true humanity in order to be protected against the Dajjalic, Pharaonic barrage that we're facing during these times of deluge and delusion. So on this rainy day here in Missouri, in the Uttarakhandi hills of the Himalayas, just wanted to just think through a little bit about the green-skinned one, the verdant one, for a moment. and to wish you well, and to pray that all of us as believers would come into our true perfection and attain spiritual maturation within this beautiful ancient prophetic tradition. So until next time, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.